Okay, we're on site here at Stryker. This is kind of a new format for us. The first time that we've done something on site here at someone else's facility. And we've got Eric Richins that we're talking to today. He is a packaging engineer. And packaging is not something that we've talked about on the podcast. So we thought we'd just do kind of a short 10, 15-minute interview here, learn a little bit what packaging engineering is all about, maybe some pro tips, and then we'll call it a day. So, Eric, why don't you just introduce yourself quickly and tell us a little bit about like what is a packaging engineer? What do you do?
I am Eric Richins. I've been here at Stryker about 10 years, mostly dealing with the packaging on a manufacturing level. So there's two different kinds of packaging engineers. You've got ones that do the design work and work with suppliers and things like that, artwork designs and different things. I do mostly on the manufacturing side.
Okay.
So I deal with processes, improvements, automation, day-to-day operations, make sure that everything runs smoothly, that the lines keep running, take care of any problems, fix any, systemic issues, stuff like that. I also do all the implementation of any kind of sustaining projects. So if they have artwork changes or regulatory, label design, different things like that need to be implemented, I do all that kind of stuff. So I update the DHRs, the device history records, update those, update the bill of materials, update our component verification systems, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's on the operations side, I take care of.
And when we talk about packaging, I mean, what is packaging? Are we talking about the brown corrugated box that things go inside of when they ship? Are we talking about Tyvek pouches? Are we talking about the cosmetic cartons that devices go in? Is it all of the above?
It's all of the above. So we have primary packaging and we have tertiary packaging, what they call it. So primary packaging is anything that touches the device itself. Secondary packaging would be anything that's inside the sterile barrier, and then tertiary packaging is everything outside the sterile barrier. So our devices are very small. They go into a hoop, they get coiled, go into a hoop, they get accessories put on them, they go into a pouch, get sealed, get labeled, those go into a carton, get closed, get labeled, those go into a shipper box, get closed, get labeled, they go off to sterilization. So all that kind of stuff, that's all included in the packaging. So anything that's not part of the device itself that the doctor uses, we consider packaging.
Okay. And what's the difference between packaging that touches the device and packaging that's within the, what did you call it, the sterile barrier?
So it all has to do with validations, like how you validate your products, like anything that goes inside the sterile barrier. So the sterile barrier for us is the pouch. So it's a film on one side, it's Tyvek on the other side. And Tyvek is designed to allow gas to get in, but it doesn't allow microbials to get in. So it's a very special design stuff. So that's our sterile barrier. So that gets sealed completely around. So inside, once it goes out and gets gassed, we're saying that everything inside that pouch is now sterile.
Okay.
And so everything outside of that, like your labels, your cartons, that's all outside the sterile barrier. And so that is less restricted from a regulatory standpoint.
And when you say get gassed, this is like ethylene oxide, sterilization,
oxide,
EO.
So
yeah.
We do have some of our older products go to gamma sterilization. So it's a big, they call it blue cobalt. So it's just a wall of radioactive material.
Oh, wow.
And our product goes in front of it, goes back and forth, and forth, just one shipper box at a time.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth in front of that wall. So it gets irradiated. That kills all the microbials in it. So those are our two different. The other one is just a big gas chamber. It goes in, we call them PCDs. It's basically little capsules with bacteria in it. And they put that all over a pallet. They put the pallet into the chamber, they get it gassed, and then they test those little bacteria capsules to make sure that they're dead, basically.
Got it. Okay. Can you think of a project in particular that was interesting or particularly challenging? Any stories that you could share around that?
We just went live, or just hit our year mark on automating our packaging process. So our cartons are very thin, square. It's very difficult to open and close them and put them in. So we just implemented a machine that does 6 a minute or no, sorry, 10 minutes, one every 6 seconds, it produces one of those units for us. So we usually run lot size about 400. So it would take a person to do that about 3 hours, where the machine can do it in about 45 minutes.
Wow.
And so it's a matter of getting the machine running at speed, minimizing downtime, dealing with issues and problems in, a timely manner, root cause analysis, all that kind of stuff is a lot of my job. So
I feel like when engineers think about product design and medical devices, the part that comes to mind first is maybe like the R&D or the CAD work designing it, but maybe the packaging doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Has that ever crossed your mind, or is that something that people talk about?
the packaging is pretty basic. I mean, it has to be what it has to be. Like, you have to maintain that sterility of the product. These
Yeah.
are things that are going into people's bodies, so we have to make sure that they're very, so to do a change or do an update to it, there's so much regulatory hoops you have to jump through. The changes take a long time. Like, we just had to update everything for Europe. They changed all their regulations on us, and that project took 7 years.
Wow.
Just to change like some wording on labels and stuff like that.
Really?
So it was a very big project. It's kind of hard to comprehend. Like, my work on that project maybe only took me 6 months, but all the back end work, from our partners to get everything approved, to get all that through all these regulatory bodies, it takes a long time. So it's very rare that we get major changes to anything. And like, when we roll out a new product, it's easiest for us to just duplicate what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
As opposed to come up with something new. They're always, our packaging engineers that do the design side, they're always trying to come up with these new ideas and these different things. Oh, what if we do this? But in reality, the changes are something as simple as, I'm going to add a little bit of color to this corner of our carton, so it looks slightly different than our other products of that same brand, kind of a thing. So it's very subtle, the things that they're allowed to do, just because of all the regulations that have to do with medical device.
Outside of the typical foundational engineering knowledge and education, is there any specific training or skill sets that one needs to develop to become a packaging engineer?
And you can actually, there's degrees in packaging engineering.
Oh, is that right?
So you can do, they're mostly back east.
Okay.
But those are more focused on materials and design and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like, what I do is it's closer to like a mechanical engineer or a process engineer, is, the day-to-day, like, I don't know of any schools that teach you like root cause analysis and stuff like that, like the different techniques and things. So those are usually supplemented once you get into, a company. They want you to learn these kinds of things. They send you to different classes. You got your Six Sigmas, you got your, I don't know if there's yellow belts, green belts, black belts, kind of like in karate.
Yeah.
You have those levels for engineers, like different classes you can take, different projects you have to finish, different amount of experience that you need before you can actually learn these kinds of techniques. And a lot of it is just learning to look at the world a little bit differently than everyday stuff. So it's for me, it's fun. It's what I enjoy doing. So like, I started off in quality. I worked in project management for years and years and years, and our packaging engineers kept quitting on us. And so to get my projects to move forward, I had to do their job for them. And I found I really enjoyed it. And I just had opportunities. Every time I had an opportunity to get in a little bit deeper into that field, I gradually moved away from project management into this kind of a role where you're just supporting production and things like that. So I find it interesting. It works well with the way my brain works. I don't like working with suppliers. I don't really enjoy designing simple things. So I moved away from that side of the packaging engineer, moved more into the production type of a thing. So that's just what I enjoy doing.
What aspect of that do you like the most? And is there anything about it that you wish you didn't have to do?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will complain about, like, you come into work and they call it firefighting. So there's a problem, it needs solving. They're like, oh, I'm firefighting all day today. For me, that's the most enjoyable part.
Oh, okay.
Like, if I come into work, the first thing I do is I check, my team's messages for production. and I look and say, hey, were there any issues with last night when they run? Are there any issues they're dealing with this morning that I need my attention, type of a thing? And that's like my main priority. That's what I want to do. I want to come in, I want to fix issues. So like you were out there with me on the line, we were having some crashing issues. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to get in there and figure out, hey, what's causing this? Watch it happen, see it happen and be like, okay, and that gives me a pretty good satisfaction when you can fix a problem, especially if you can do it pretty quickly or just be like, sometimes if the problem is intermittent, it takes a long time to figure it out what's causing it, but that's kind of what I enjoy.
Yeah. Anything that you wish you didn't have to do as a packaging engineer? Like for mechanical engineers, I think it's drawings, right? Like no engineer enjoys creating drawings and documentation. Is there something analogous to that in the packaging world?
The packaging world that I don't like doing? No offense to the packaging engineers, but sometimes some of their ideas or things, they don't look at it from a production standpoint. They're looking at it from, hey, this is what the doctors want. This is what marketing wants. We want to make these changes, and they don't look at how it affects us until kind of after the fact. We have to deal with the outcome, kind of a thing. Like, they have two products that are very similar, but they want to introduce new artwork for the two of them, and they want to incorporate it into like a carton. So now I have to deal with two cartons instead of just one carton, and that cascades into 10, 20, that kind of a thing. So that's probably, the biggest headache I have, at least currently, is dealing with these little minute changes that they want to make to something that makes my life more difficult, from a production standpoint. So I'm all about, we want to do everything, quality, safety, quality, and then you got to hit those numbers. That efficiency is kind of the thing. That's where I come in. I make sure, we're being safe, we're following our quality policies, but I want to make sure that everything happens as efficiently as we possibly can. Least amount of headaches for the people that build our products. I want them to be happy. I want their lives to be as easy as possible. That's kind of like my goal at my job.
And when we talk about packaging, I feel like if you're not familiar with that niche in the industry, you might just think, oh, what's hard about that? It's just you have a box and you put something in it. Like, what's the big deal, right? And maybe when it's manual, that's probably still oversimplifying things. But when you get into automation, like you just talked about this automated line that you guys have right now for packaging, it's very sophisticated, right? A lot that can go wrong.
Yeah, like you have to take everything that a person does and have a machine do it. Yeah. And you can't cut any corners. You can't, like, if the person has to, verify that this is the right part you're having to do it, the machine has to do that kind of thing too. So you have to build all that into it. And, at the same time, make it very user-friendly, make sure that it is robust, that it can, stand the test of time, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very complicated process. Like, you have to do all kinds of, like, validations and process builds and all these different things. So, like, we just had an auditor come through, and she's like, oh, I want to see the validations you did for, your packaging machine. We're like, okay, which one? She's like, like your IQ, like your installation qualifications, your operating, your equipment qualifications, your process, verifications. And so I pulled the documents for her, and like our installation, our equipment setup was 400 pages. Our process validation saying, hey, we can consistently run this for all our different products and things like that was over 600 pages worth of documentations that we had to do just to make sure, hey, this machine does what we want it to do, does what we need it to do, and can do it consistently.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so much work. Huh? Yeah. And it's doing a lot. I mean, it's taking these flat cartons, it's erecting them, it's putting a product inside, it's folding the tabs closed, it's putting a shipping label on it or a product label, putting it into a shipping box. Yeah. So there's a lot of steps that go into it.
Yeah. So it was, we had like the perfect machine, design, like in our user specifications. A lot of that gets cut out just because of costs and time and things like that. It's not as integrated as we would like. We don't have access to, to the software like we would like. But for bare bones, for what our, management approved, it does exactly what we need it to do. Terrific. When it's working. When it's not breaking down. But for the most part, it's pretty consistent for its output, Like we can plan now and be like, okay, we can expect this number of units every day to be produced by this, unless there's some kind of hiccup. Like on a perfect day, we'll never say it's going to be, we won't commit to that. But, you know, for the most part, our planners, our schedulers, everything we can build that, be like, okay, this is what we can expect from it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know, it took a year before we got there, and there was a lot of questions. You know, this is what was promised, you know, by, you know, our engineering team, and this is actual what it's going to do. You know, it was a lot of back and forth, you know, understanding.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't plan for these kinds of things. You know, we didn't say, you know, they told us, you know, the ideal situation. This is how many units it can do. This is how long a lot will take. This is how long it will take to switch between lots. All that kind of stuff was, you know, kind of put out there. But in reality, everything takes. There's always some little hiccup. The machine doesn't run perfect. You know, maybe for like an hour, it runs great. But then, you know, you have a little bit of downtime here, there, just, you know, just understanding all of that. And setting realistic expectations is kind of what we do.
This is par for the course with engineering, right? Anytime you bring up a new product or a new system, there are going to be problems, there are going to be bugs, and that's just how it goes. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the job, basically.
Yeah, right. That's why you have a job.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, a lot of people are worried about, like, you know, AI taking your career or something like that. Engineering work, what we do, I don't see that happening soon. It probably will someday. But,
eventually,
but, you know, the learning, the knowledge that you have, and it's just, you know, the type of thinking that you have is very unique in the engineering world. So
great.
It's a nice challenge. It keeps you engaged, like, in your work. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else that you think engineers should know about the world of packaging before we wrap things up here?
I mean, it's not as simple, like you were saying, it's not as simple as what people expect it to be. There's a lot of little things, little nuances that go into it. You know, the packaging of a product is just as important as the product itself. Like, if you put the wrong label on something, you put the wrong packaging around it, it's going to confuse your customers. It's going to, you know, cause chaos with your distribution and that kind of a thing. So it has to be, it's just as important to get your packaging right as it is to get whatever it is you're selling right on it. So I don't think a lot of people understand that. But that's kind of the world I live in. You know, like you're saying, people don't take it seriously. It's just packaging. It really isn't.
Nothing is just.
Yeah. So it's something that, weirdly enough, I found like a little niche. It's something I enjoy dealing with.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it a long time. Like, I've been pressured to, like, go into management or, like, supervisory roles, because they'll see I've worked really good with our product builders. You know, I engage with them well, and I'm just like, no, I'm fine. I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
This is my little world
that takes some discipline, right? I mean, there's probably an attraction to, like, going to management and leadership or whatever, but I think it takes some discipline to recognize it's not really what's going to bring me the most joy. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing right here. I'm just going to keep getting better at this thing.
Yeah. Just make sure everything just goes well. That's just like that's my day. I want everything to just be nice and perfect. So, like, you know, my wife, I go home and she's like, how was your day? I was like, boring. She's like, what happened? I'm like, everything went well today. There was no problems to be solved. So, you know, that's a good day.
Yeah.
But, you know, it may not be the most interesting day. So.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, Eric, thanks so much for talking us through packaging engineering and all the processes associated with it. I think this is the first time that we've talked about packaging on the podcast, so another great chunk of knowledge to add to the repository.
All right. I'm glad I could be here for you.
Thanks.
Spread a little knowledge.
That's right.
Fun.
I'm Aaron Moncur, founder of Pipeline Design and Engineering. If you liked what you heard today, please share the episode. To learn how your team can leverage our team's expertise developing advanced manufacturing processes, automated machines, and custom fixtures, complemented with product design and R&D services, visit us at teampipeline.us. To join a vibrant community of engineers online, visit thewave.engineer. Thank you for listening.